Welcome back to the Healthy Life podcast, where we blend ancient wisdom with modern science to help you to be healthier, happier, and more prosperous after 60. Today, we're focusing on something that many people overlook, a nighttime ritual that can deeply impact the brain. And to explore this, we've invited a very special guest who is actually not that special anymore since he is here all the time. Japan's oldest practicing physician, Dr. Shigeyaki Hinohara, over 100 years old, still sharp and a national treasure in Japan. He's here to share a nightly habit that could help preserve your mental clarity, especially after 60. Welcome again, Dr. Shigeyaki Hinohara. Thank you for joining us. I know you believe that how we close our day can determine how we function tomorrow. So tell us, what's the one thing people over 60 must never forget before going to sleep?
Thank you for having me. And yes, the brain does not shut off when we sleep. In fact, it becomes more active in very specific ways. While the body rests, the brain begins a deeply complex process. It filters through the day's experiences, organizes memories, removes toxins, and restores its neural connections. But all of this depends on one thing: preparation. You must give the brain the environment and the materials. It needs to do its job. And if you go to sleep without providing that, you are not just missing a step. You are starving the brain of its capacity to regenerate. Night after night, this neglect builds up. It leads to foggy mornings, forgetfulness, and a sense of mental fatigue that no amount of coffee can fix. You must never go to bed without preparing the brain to heal. That preparation is simple, but essential.
Starving the brain? That's powerful, and not something we're taught in the West. Most of us associate starvation with physical hunger, but what you're describing is more subtle and far more dangerous. It's about denying the brain the materials it needs to regenerate, especially during its most active repair window at night. I remember my own grandfather, who was sharp his whole life, suddenly started forgetting names and misplacing things. And nobody thought to ask what he was eating at night or if he was eating at all. How exactly does this kind of nightly neglect translate into real cognitive decline?
Think of the brain like a library, one that files new books, repairs old ones, and dusts the shelves while you sleep. But to do all that work, the librarian needs light, tools, and energy. If you starve the system, no nutrients, no signals of safety, then instead of filing, the brain goes into emergency mode. It skips the deep work and just tries to survive the night. Let me give you an example. I had a patient, Mr. Yamamoto, age 74, a retired school principal, very disciplined man. He came to me complaining of persistent forgetfulness, not dementia, but small things. Losing names, misplacing keys, walking into a room and forgetting why. He told me he had cut out all food after 6 p.m., following some Western weight loss advice. But what he didn't realize was that his brain, especially in later years, was entering an 8-hour fast with no support, no protein, no calming nutrients, just sleep and stress. When I encouraged him to try a small ritual, some warm tofu broth before bed, for example, a short stretch and deep breathing, everything began to shift. Within a few weeks, his morning clarity returned. He could focus longer, remember more, and his wife said he seemed more present. That's what I mean by starving the brain, not just hunger in the stomach, but hunger in the nervous system. A hunger for support and rhythm and quiet strength.
So we're not just talking about a snack, we're talking about a signal, a message sent to the brain that says you are safe now. It's time to restore. It's like turning down the lights at the end of a concert, a way of letting the brain know the show is over. And now comes the cleanup, the reset, the healing. And if that signal doesn't come, the brain doesn't relax. It stays guarded, scanning, conserving energy instead of rebuilding.
Yes, in Japan, we believe nighttime food is instruction. But more than that, the entire ritual is a signal. The softness of the light, the slowness of the breath, the rhythm of a small routine. These are cues that speak to the brain's limbic system, the part responsible for emotional regulation, memory, and survival. Without these cues, the brain defaults to vigilance. It stays half awake, half defensive, and often wakes you at 2 or 3 a.m., confused and unrested. The science backs this. Studies show that consistent pre-sleep rituals lower cortisol, stabilize heart rate variability, and boost parasympathetic activity, all of which create the ideal environment for memory consolidation and neurological repair.
Let's unpack that, because many seniors in the U.S. are told to stop eating at night. But you're saying it's not about skipping food, it's about choosing the right kind?
Exactly. After 60, the brain becomes more sensitive, blood flow slows, hormones shift, and most importantly, your body enters catabolism faster. That means it starts breaking down tissue, including brain tissue, for energy during fasting states. So what happens if you go to bed on an empty stomach? The brain says, we're out of fuel, and instead of healing, it protects. Instead of storing memories, it conserves power. Night after night, this pattern drains your sharpness, and you don't feel it immediately, but over time, it becomes your new normal.
That's incredible. So what kind of fuel are we talking about? What should someone over 60 eat before bed to protect their brain? And does the ritual just consist of eating some small snack, or is there more? What does a truly holistic, Japanese-inspired nighttime routine look like? One that feeds not only the body, but also the heart and the spirit.
Think of it as a warm message to the brain. Light protein, calming minerals, gentle energy. In Japan, this could be a small bowl of warm miso broth with tofu. The miso helps the gut. The tofu offers brain-supporting amino acids. The warmth soothes the nervous system. Another good option is a soft-boiled egg with steamed greens, or a bit of white fish cooked with ginger. Not heavy, not cold, just clean, warm, and easy to digest. You want to avoid sugars, cold foods, or anything processed. These confuse the body's natural rhythm.
That makes so much sense, and it really makes me think about how many seniors are not even considering this as an option. But you said there was more, something that is beyond food?
Yes, I was just about to explain that. The Japanese approach includes what we call Shinshin Chinyo, the unity of mind and body. So the ritual doesn't stop with the kitchen. We encourage a full environment of peace. That means turning off screens at least 30 minutes before sleep. Blue light disrupts melatonin production and keeps the brain in daytime mode. Instead, we might light a candle or open a window for fresh air. We slow the rhythm of the household. Even reading a physical book, especially something poetic or spiritual, can gently prime the mind for rest.
And you combine this with breathing techniques, right?
Yes, breathing is key too. We practice hara breathing, slow, deep breaths into the belly with an exhale longer than the inhale. Just 5 minutes of this can activate the parasympathetic nervous system, lowering cortisol and slowing heart rate. The message to the brain is clear. It is time to release. Add to that a calming herbal tea or even writing a short gratitude list, and you have created an entire sensory experience, one that gently ushers the brain into its nighttime mode of repair.
I love that. A gratitude list. Gratitude. It's such a small word, but the science behind it is big. Studies show that people who practice gratitude sleep better, experience less depression, and even have better memory recall. It's almost as if acknowledging the good in your life creates a chemical cascade that helps your brain let go, reset, and restore itself more deeply.
Exactly. This isn't just philosophy. A study published in the journal Applied Psychology, Health and Well-Being found that people who wrote down 3 things they were grateful for before bed slept longer and felt more rested. Another study from UC Davis showed that a regular gratitude practice was linked with improved sleep quality, lower blood pressure, and even stronger immune function. Gratitude reduces the brain's perception of threat. It activates areas in the prefrontal cortex that are associated with emotional regulation and calm. So it's not just a feeling, it's medicine.
Also, you mentioned rhythm a few times. Can you explain why timing matters so much, even more than nutrients?
Because the brain follows cycles, and those cycles are set by light, sound, and food. If you eat erratically, sleep erratically, and overstimulate before bed, your brain stays alert. But when you eat at the same time, stretch gently, and breathe deeply, your body receives the message. It is safe to restore.
That brings us to movement. I know you don't just recommend food, you recommend a physical ritual as well. What should that look like?
Yes, before nourishment, movement. But not exercise, not stress. I'm speaking of soft, mindful movement. 5 minutes is enough. Begin with neck rolls, then shoulder circles, a forward fold, and finally, sit and breathe. Each movement should be an invitation to let go. Why this works is simple. Gentle movement increases blood flow. It calms the sympathetic nervous system. It opens the repair mode. And when you follow that with nourishment, the brain absorbs it like a sponge. You're giving your mind what it needs to clean, store, and rebuild.
So the sequence is crucial. Movement, then nourishment. Not the other way around?
Exactly. Movement prepares the stage. Food is the offering. Together, they tell your brain, the day is done. Begin the healing.
What about people who say they can't eat at night? that it gives them heartburn or disrupts their sleep.
That often means the wrong food or the wrong rhythm. A large meal late at night will hurt you, but a warm, liquid-based small portion, it's healing. If digestion is weak, fermented foods like miso or a small spoon of pickled plum can help. These support the gut, and the gut controls your brain's chemistry.
And how does this habit support memory specifically? Because that's a big concern for many people over 60. They worry about losing their sharpness. I hear it all the time. I can't remember where I put my glasses, or I forget names more than I used to. It creates fear, a sense that something irreversible is happening. But your approach suggests that memory isn't just slipping away. It's something we can actively nourish and protect.
Memory is built during sleep, but not just any sleep. Deep, stable sleep. And that only happens when your blood sugar, stress levels, and brain chemistry are in balance. The nighttime ritual we are discussing does exactly that. It keeps blood sugar stable. It reduces cortisol. It supports neurotransmitters like serotonin and GABA, which promote relaxation and memory consolidation.
That really reframes how we think about aging. We assume memory loss is automatic, but you're saying it's often just malnourished?
Yes, the brain is not fragile. It is hungry. It is thirsty. It is rhythmic. And when we forget that, we age faster than we should. But when we feed it properly, move gently, and sleep deeply, even at 90, the mind can stay bright. I've seen it. I've lived it.
What about beverages? Any drinks you recommend or ones to avoid?
Avoid anything cold, sugary, or caffeinated. No soda, no alcohol, no green tea late at night. Instead, sip something warm and calming. Chamomile tea, a bit of warm barley water, or golden milk, turmeric with black pepper and almond milk. These settle the gut and prepare the brain.
And for someone just starting this tonight, what's the simplest ritual they can begin with?
Boil water, stir in a spoon of miso, add a few slices of soft tofu, sit, breathe, sip slowly, then stretch for 5 minutes. Roll the shoulders, let your head drop forward, touch your toes, and say this silently. I prepare my mind for clarity. Then write down 3 small things you're grateful for, even if it's just warm socks, a good book, or someone's smile. This quiet act seals the day with peace and helps the mind store the right memories. It's a way of saying to the brain, I choose to rest in abundance, not worry.
That's beautiful and simple, which makes it doable. I think a lot of our listeners feel overwhelmed by health advice, but this feels gentle, like an offering to yourself.
That is the key. Aging well is not about force. It is about rhythm, consistency, soft strength.
Doctor, I want to thank you for sharing this. It's not just advice, it's an invitation to end the day with intention and to give the brain what it actually needs, not just what we assume.
Yes, and to everyone listening, I leave you with this. Memory does not fade with age. It fades with neglect. Before sleep, remember your mind. Feed it, calm it, and it will remember you.